Thank you very much, please. And thank you all for being here as we take historic action to deliver a future of safety and security for Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed. We're joined today by law enforcement professionals and community leaders. Though we may all come from different places and different backgrounds, we're united by our desire to ensure peace and dignity and equality for all Americans. I've just concluded a meeting with incredible families, just incredible families that have been through so much. The families of Ahmaud Arbery, Botham Jean, Antoine Rose, Jamel Roberson, Adiana Jefferson, Michael Dean, Darius Tarver, Cameron Lamb, and Everett Palmer. These are incredible people, and it's so sad. Many of these families lost their loved ones in deadly interactions with police. To all of the hurting families, I want you to know that all Americans mourn by your side. Your loved ones will not have died in vain. We are one nation, we grieve together, and we heal together. I can never imagine your pain or the depth of your anguish, but I can promise to fight for justice for all of our people. And I gave a commitment to all of those families today with Senator Tim Scott and Attorney General Bill Barr. We are going to pursue what we said. We will be pursuing it, and we will be pursuing it strongly, Tim, right? Okay. I want to recognize Attorney General Bill Barr, who's spent so much time on this and other matters like this. Bill, thank you very much for being here, along with, great job you're doing, along with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Tim Scott, and they're going to be working on a Senate bill also that can go hand in hand with this. And also Representatives Kelly Armstrong, Louis Gohmert, Jim Jordan, Guy Reschenthaler, and Pete Stauber. And thanks also to Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody, the President of the Fraternal Order of Police, Pat Yost, President of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, Stephen Cass-Stevens, and many other law enforcement leaders who are going to be joining me at the signing. Today is about pursuing common sense and fighting for a cause like we seldom get the chance to fight for. We have to find common ground. But I strongly oppose the radical and dangerous efforts to defend, dismantle, and dissolve our police departments, especially now when we've achieved the lowest recorded crime rates in recent history. Americans know the truth. Without police, there is chaos. Without law, there is anarchy. And without safety, there is catastrophe. We need leaders at every level of government who have the moral clarity to state these obvious facts. Americans believe we must support the brave men and women in blue who police our streets and keep us safe. Americans also believe we must improve accountability, increase transparency, and invest more resources in police training, recruiting, and community engagement. Reducing crime and raising standards are not opposite goals. They are not mutually exclusive. They work together. They all work together. That is why today I'm signing an executive order encouraging police departments nationwide to adopt the highest professional standards to serve their communities. These standards will be as high and as strong as there is on earth. The vast majority of police officers are selfless and courageous public servants. They are great men and women. When others run away from danger, police run straight into harm's way, often putting their lives at stake to protect someone who they don't know or never even met. Great danger. Police officers run straight toward this incredible harm. Take the World Trade Center. They ran straight into the Twin Towers of 9/11. Many of them never returned. Never returned. Vast numbers of New York's finest never returned. Last year, I presented the Medal of Valor to 6 heroic police officers who ended a murderous rampage so professionally in Dayton, Ohio. Hundreds of people would have been killed, surely, without them. We ask our police to put on the uniform and risk their lives for us every day, the least we deserve and the least we can do, because they deserve it so much. They have to get our gratitude, and we have to give them great respect for what they do, for the job is one of the most dangerous jobs on earth.
Let's bring back into our conversation CNN's Van Jones and CNN's Dana Bash. Van, as we watch the scene in the Rose Garden here, there's the Attorney General, members of Congress, members of law enforcement organizations, other allies of the administration on hand for this. You see Senator Tim Scott right there in the red tie to the left of your screen. He is absolutely critical to efforts up on Capitol Hill now to see if there will be additional federal police reform efforts. He's leading the Republican effort in the United States Senate. Van, we talked before the president's speech about some elements of this executive order that you think are very important. Is it fair to say that you found them to be wrapped in a speech that you were not so welcoming of?
Well, listen, I think there are two things here. One is the speech and one is the executive order. The executive order is a good thing, and mainly because you saw the support of law enforcement there. That gives you a sense of where the bottom is, where the floor is for reform, and that floor is higher than it has been. There is movement in the direction of a database for bad cops. We've never had a federal database for bad cops. That's why these cops go all over the place doing bad stuff. The idea that you're going to have de-escalators now alongside cops so you can talk people down and not shoot people down. The chokehold, that's common ground now between Pelosi and Trump. So you see good stuff there. I thought the speech, though, missed the opportunity. It started off with a lot of unity, and then it moved off into politics and a whole bunch of stuff that people are going to fight about, and then it kind of tried to come back to unity at the end. All that stuff is classic Trump. It will be gone tomorrow. But what will be in place, there is a new floor, a higher floor for Congress to now depart from that includes law enforcement support for data, for de-escalators, for better training, and against chokeholds. I think progress has been made, muddied by, I think, a speech that was, really, I think, over the line in a lot of ways if you're trying to go for unity. But I think the speech goes away over time. I think the progress that the people have made in getting even the Trump White House, the Republicans, and now law enforcement, along with Democrats, to take steps forward is really powerful. I also know about the meeting that happened behind closed doors that I'd be happy to talk about. But I think that the speech, I don't give it a high rating, but the executive order is a step in the right direction.
Well, let me come back to you relayed to me while the president was speaking some of the emotions of behind the scenes. Let me come back to that in a moment. I want to bring into the conversation also our CNN law enforcement analyst, the former Philadelphia and D.C. police chief, Charles Ramsey. Chief, to Van's point that we could talk about the politics of the speech, and I will do that in just a moment. But in terms of the substance here, has the floor been raised, as Van notes, about the idea that you have momentum, consensus, law enforcement, and a Republican president on board for, in your view, are these significant, lasting, and important reforms?
There is absolutely no question in my mind that the floor has been raised. I mean, listen, 2 months ago, we wouldn't have had the speech. And so I think it's important in moving in the right direction. Obviously, there are some things that need to be fleshed out, but this is a good start. And, the acknowledgement that you need to have some kind of national database, de-escalation training, having teams of people respond to some of these calls instead of just police officers that have the expertise to be able to, de-escalate and deal with people in a mental health crisis. Having some way of some form of certification or licensing of officers, that would certainly be at the state level for the most part. But I mean, these are things that I think are very positive, moves in the right direction. I know Republicans and Democrats are each coming up and drafting more specific bills, but it gives me an indication that there's some way in which people can come together and come up with something that's workable and that's going to make a difference. And that's what's important.